eco-pure reverse osmosis filtration. Water, that's what we started our meal with. Michelin star water. You seem to be able to have reverse osmosis filtration with sparkles. Sparkling version. If you like those bubbles inside you as you eat. Canapés. Start the food, but first you've got to be introduced to the iPad. There's a story that goes with the menu. The taramasalata canapé is made from Cornish smoked cod's roe, sourced from Cornwall, served with squid ink tuile. The tuile made into a fish skeleton shape. There's pickled cucumber lemon gel, and it's dressed with wood sorrel and cornflowers from the farm. The savoury fish skeleton-shaped biscuit has a nice snap to it, and the rest of it just melts in your mouth. A second canapé soon follows Cornish feather-caught mackerel, which is lightly cured with Buddha's hand. This is food elevated to another level, but it's not cooked by Buddha's hand. Buddha's hand is a fruit, a citrus fruit, that looks a little like a flame or perhaps an octopus in yellow and red. The Cornish feather-caught mackerel, which is lightly cured with Buddha's hand and citrus ponzu, before being added into the waffle tart shell made with the local clavel and hind in Coachman Golden Ale. But what is ponzu? It's not a pyramid selling scheme, that's a Ponzi. It's a tart Japanese citrus sauce, more usually mixed with soy. This waffle tart shell packed with flavour is topped with beautiful fresh garden peas in an elderflower dressing, ossetra caviar and a jalapeno gel. Those peas, it almost feels inappropriate to eat them compared to the frozen garden peas in your freezer at home. This canapé is all of a size that you can put it in your mouth all at once, but you can, it does hold together if you bite. Next up of the three canapés, Stinking Bishop, the famous Gloucestershire cheese that's made by Charles Martel, is washed with a perry made from the Stinking Bishop pear. A perry is a pear cider as opposed to an apple cider. The cheese takes its name from the pear cider, from the particular species of pear tree. A delicate crémeau is made from the cheese, which is dipped in a pear jelly, served in a brick pastry case, and finished with a pear and chervil. Michelin star chef establishments may be very good at cooking, but I'm not sure if they're that good at maths. We've gone for the 4-course option. There's a 6-course and an 8-course option, but the 4-course seems to compose of 12 dishes, 12 plates. There's a creedy carver duck, a tequila slammer if you want to mix it, with the wine serving suggestions, which we see on another table, comes with smoking dry ice covering the whole table. There's a Cotswold venison that will be following, and a Canyon Pion damson soufflé, a selection of British cheeses, and a coffee with petit four. It's easy to choke initially at the price of £75, and then there's the wine pairing of another £75. 6 courses, 115. But it definitely makes a special occasion special. It's true to say less is more, but also more is more. Next, sour ampersand. Isn't that squiggly and symbol on a QWERTY keyboard? Sourdough, ampersand cultured butter, and creedy carver chicken butter. During the lockdown period, the chef spent time developing a delicious sourdough for the restaurant, which takes a total of 32 hours to mix, prove and bake. Over the last couple of years, he's given it a slight refresh. After a trip to Cornwall last summer, we were introduced to wild farmed flour from Dan Cox at Crocodon Farm. Well worth a visit for a dinner as well. He was awarded a Michelin Green Star at the same time as this restaurant got its Michelin star. Michelin Green Stars are awarded to places that have their own kitchen garden or farm, producing their own produce, with a similar attention to detail. This restaurant has an old bus for its micro everything, micro veg, micro flowers, micro leaves. Perhaps not always the case, but Green Stars tend to be awarded as that extra star on top, that extra cherry on top for places that have 3 Michelin stars. The sourdough is created combining wild farmed T80 flour with our normal Canadian strong white and rye flour from Shipton Mill. More local to the restaurant, food miles always a significant factor. These 2 flours are perfectly suited for long fermentation breads such as sourdough, as the natural strength of the wheat protein helps the dough remain in prime condition. The addition of the wild farm T80 gives our sourdough a softer and more flavourful crumb. Explains the electronic waitress by your side. You don't have to listen to all of this. But you do get that classic description. as it's written in the published menus online. The sourdough bread is served with 2 types of butter. The first, the Ampersand handcrafted cultured butter from the Ampersand dairy in Oxfordshire, and the second, the homemade Creedy Carver chicken butter. Not unpasteurised milk, I was told when I asked. The chicken butter is made using a delicious chicken stock made from the carcasses of the Creedy Carver chicken. It's then whipped through some more of the Ampersand butter base and topped with crispy chicken skin. Now, I'm a fan of bread and butter. I'd certainly tucked into it like it was a course in itself, but you know that the meat main course is coming soon. So save a bit to absorb those juices and leave a clean plate. Line-caught Cornish day boat sea bass, fennel, St Austell mussels, cauliflower, coriander. Not giving away any techniques there, are they? The fish and shellfish are only sourced from small independent day boats. The wonderful sea bass is no exception, caught and landed daily by hook and line by boat 24 out of Mevagissey. This is the most sustainable method of catching this wonderful meaty fish. The sea bass is lightly cured in salt for 10 minutes before frying on the French plancha. The thick, heavy frying plate guarantees the perfect temperature, resulting in a delectable caramelised crust on the surface, while the centre remains cooked to perfection. The sea bass is served with roasted baby cauliflower, caramelised cauliflower puree, and some pickled fennel from the kitchen garden. The dish is finished with St Austell mushrooms, which have been panade in breadcrumbs. A sauce is made from the mussel cooking liquor and flavoured with ginger and lemongrass, then split with coriander oil. There is a Hungarian wine pairing with this, a Bata winery Egikis Ferment Tokaji 2022, that have been re-establishing traditions in the terroir for future generations of custodians. Egikis is Hungary's flagship grape, lick of fresh lime on the nose, pear, incredible purity and balance, palette of flavours of sweet yellow plum, fresh green apple, acidity from lime and accented with saline minerality. £16 a glass. Save a little of the sourdough for the Creedy Carver duck. Lime, maple, gingerbread, white chocolate. No techniques or processes glimpsed there either in the making, but we've got a list of the expensive ingredients. The waitress doesn't get to eat after the shift. The ingredients are too expensive just when they're trialling a dish. When it's new, the amazing free-range ducks are sourced from the Coleman family farm in Crediton, Devon. The farm, now operated by James, son of Peter and Sue, is renowned for its high standards of welfare. James, named the NFU Young Farmer of the Year, takes great pride in rearing ducks that truly stand out in terms of quality. You can taste the difference. When preparing this dish, the restaurant uses as much of the duck as they can, firstly curing the breasts for 3 days in salt, sugar and spices, before hot smoking them, before glazing with maple syrup and then slicing thinly. The legs are also cured, confit, and finally pressed with lime, maple and a sauce crafted from the duck bones. Naturally, the duck livers are transformed into a decadent parfait and delicately dipped in white chocolate. To complement the duck, we serve them alongside shallot and lime chutney and crunchy gingerbread crisp and a fig puree. This duck dish is paired with a Sinsalt Bekaa Valley wine from the Lebanon. Messiah Classic Rose 2021. There's a necessity for an armed guard when the wines are transported. Deliciously perfumed with fresh strawberry aromas and a touch of spice. Light peachy coloured rosé, dry in style with cream red berry fruit on a palette of beautiful freshness, thanks to the vineyard's altitude on chalky hillsides, warm, long summers and wet winters. That's £17 for a 175ml glass. Moving on to the tequila slammer that I mentioned before, perhaps inspired by the restaurant's town centre location. This is probably the most well-known dish at the restaurant, having been on the tasting menu for almost 14 years, and it still remains one of the favourites. It's a perfect palate cleanser before you move on to the second half of your menu. While your table's engulfed in dry ice, do the salt, tequila and lime. There's the part 1, the salt crisp, part 2, the tequila sorbet, too many of those, made with liquid nitrogen and a super smooth texture. Part 3, the lime sphere. We do advise that you place the whole sphere in your mouth before you bite into it. Don't be tempted to nibble it first, it explodes in your mouth. It's an investment to read the iPad when you're going to risk ruining your best frock. Having struggled a little to prepare venison in the past, I've been most looking forward to the Cotswold venison, celeriac, hen of the woods, beetroot. Hen of the woods, it turns out, is a mushroom. A flowering, branching, lung-like head to it, of which you only get about half or a quarter, but so meaty. The venison itself is sourced from various estates in around the Cotswolds. The saddle is the part that's used. It's been hung for 7 days before being dry-aged for another 7. It's then marinated for 3 days in a mix of juniper, black pepper, star anise and cocoa powder, thyme and garlic, all blended into Cotswold Gold rapeseed oil. When it comes to cooking the venison saddle, the chef uses a chrono grill, a Japanese-style indoor barbecue, and cooks it over binchotan, a type of white charcoal. This charcoal produces a very little smoke and maintains a consistently high temperature to give it a wonderful smoky flavour. The saddle is served alongside baby beetroot grown in the kitchen garden, salted baked celeriac and hen of the woods mushrooms, which are also cooked over the coals. The sauce on the dish is made with a venison stock, red wine, and the same spices as in marmalade. Marinade, sorry, not marmalade, but of course the flavour is so intense that you could carry a marmalade. Sweetness. Who's he calling sweetness, you might be asking? The wine pairing, Finca Baccara. Time waits for no one. It's a Monastrelli. 2021, Jumilla, Comilla, Spain. This opulent, powerful and rich, seamless oak integration, notes of ripe red fruits, liqueur, chalice and blackberry. This Monastrell is £23, a 175ml glass. Well-structured, subtle complexity, the form of spice, balsamic, herbal scrubland and licorice, and a deliciously endless finish. The next wine pairing for the next course will be Japanese sake. Plum doesn't seem the most fashionable flavour to me. I'm remembering my granddad's plum wine as I tuck into the absolute intensity of Canonpion damson soufflé, yoghurt, almond milk. It's that time of the year again, our iPad describes to us. The damsons are here, from Helen's parents' back field, picked by her mum and dad and turned into a very popular dessert. The damson soufflé. A much overlooked fruit, the damson, is making somewhat of a resurgence recently, apparently, but they have been on our menu every year since we bought the restaurant in 2009, the iPad Harvard. We pair it with a yoghurt and almond milk sorbet, shortbread crumb, and a syrup made from the damson stones, and a little amaretto. I had to suspend belief that there's such thing as artisan tequila and artisan sake. Not so for the selection of British cheeses, digestives, sourdough crumpet, honey, red onion marmalade. There are British Cheese Awards. Ashlyn, a cheddar cellar dairy in Worcestershire, was awarded a gold in 2019. This striking monochrome goat's cheese made by Georges Branham, charcoal-coated, with a thin line of charcoal through the centre, fabulously buttery, with a lemony sharpness, and intriguing savoury depth. I'm intrigued with the goat's cheese, isn't charcoal and buttery lemony sharpness can two bits included. The Barkham Blue, the village-made dairy in Berkshire, was definitely my thing. The matured, pale yellow paste brings a buttery texture and a sweet flavour, while the blue-green veining adds a savoury note to this award-winning cheese, made in the Berkshire village of Risley, not far from Reading, by Anne and Andy Wigmore. World Cheese Awards, Best Blue Cheese, 2008. The third cheese on our board, Baron Bigod, aren't they all? Fen Farm Dairy, Suffolk. A handmade, soft, creamy, raw cow's milk cheese with lasting earthy notes and flavours of mushroom. The Baron Bigod is heavily inspired by French cheesemakers and is traditionally produced and left to mature for up to 8 weeks in a cave-like environment. Hope you have a cave-like environment. The petit fours that go with your coffee at the end of your meal kept as a bit of a surprise. I think they changed quite a lot. A selection of pull-out boxes to discover you might possibly miss one, but they don't give you the chance. There was a small cube of fudge with a little soft gel bead of a red fruit on top, which tasted to me like it should have been a blue-green colour somehow. A bed of dehydrated strawberries with an intense strawberry-sized and shaped and flavoured jelly, solid jelly. But I thoroughly enjoyed rehydrating the strawberries in my coffee, a bit like Dunkin' biscuits. But not all of them. Some of them inevitably get wasted. It's not obvious to know what's in the next drawer. It's a bonbon, but it's blue with some graffiti over it. biting through it. It looks like there's a white chocolate inside. I didn't get to taste any of that one. And it's on a bed of raw cocoa ground up. Not cocoa, I'm misleading you, cacao. But beans, cocoa beans, before they've been made into anything, they get crushed up. No sugar added and some small drops of chocolate. Almost a savoury sand. But all there is for you to do now is to visit the Dyson taps downstairs with the integral air dryer and pay the £200 bill.